When I was very young, I caused a disaster without fully understanding its consequences. I was playing with fire, and when the flames suddenly flared up, my friends and I became frightened and ran away to hide instead of calling for help. As a result, an entire kitchen and a neighbor's garden in our neighborhood were destroyed by fire. It happened on a summer afternoon. Fortunately, the homeowner discovered the fire in time and alerted the entire neighborhood to help extinguish it, so no human lives were lost. However, I often wonder how many living beings dwelling in that kitchen and garden suffered painful and unjust deaths because of my mistake. My name is NH, and I live in HN City. Years later, for reasons unknown to us, my parents purchased a house that had previously been damaged by a fire in which the homeowner's son had lost his life. It seemed that he had died young, unable to move on peacefully. For many years, his spirit remained in that burned kitchen, bringing turmoil and hardship to our family. Our lives were turned upside down, our business suffered, and we endured immense hardship. Fortunately, Heaven and the Buddhas showed compassion by bringing a kind and knowledgeable sister-in-law into my life. She had taken refuge in Buddhism at an early age, established a Buddhist altar in her home, and diligently recited the Buddha's name and read the Amitabha Sutra every day. Gradually, the land where we lived became more peaceful. She was the one who introduced me to Buddhist practice and encouraged me to cultivate merit through activities such as commissioning Buddha statues, printing and distributing Buddhist teachings, and establishing a chanting hall. Through these acts of merit, I was blessed with a dream that revealed how to resolve the karmic debt I had created long ago. I am deeply moved and endlessly grateful to the Buddha. I often dreamed that my son was cooking and accidentally caused a gas explosion that burned our entire family to death. In those dreams, I knew there was no escape, so I calmly recited the Buddha's name. In the end, the house remained unharmed, but the karmic creditors were still filled with anger because they could not exact their revenge. This dream followed me for years, repeating itself over and over. It made me realize that this was karmic retribution carried over not only from this lifetime, but from many previous lives as well. Day and night, I repented and devoted myself to creating as much merit as possible, dedicating those merits to the karmic creditors from countless past lives. I sincerely vowed to practice all good deeds and abandon all evil. I made a vow to commission 300 Buddha statues, along with a complete set of the Western Pure Land Trinity, Amitabha Buddha, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, and Mahastamaprapta Bodhisattva, to offer to the Dharma Center of Master NTI. Also organized a Buddha recitation gathering on the day the 3 statues were completed, encouraging fellow practitioners to copy the Infinite Life Sutra and write the Buddha's name. Yet I continued to have the same dream. This time, everything in the house burned to ashes, except for the statue of Amitabha Buddha, which remained intact amid the ruins. In the dream, I prayed to the Buddha, "If my karmic connection with this Sahar world has come to an end, I am willing to let go of all possessions, my spouse, and my children, and follow the Buddha to the Western Pure Land. Everything in this world is temporary and impermanent." Then I saw the Buddha appear vividly before me. My husband was taken away for emergency treatment, and I awoke. Eventually, what was destined to happen finally arrived. The karmic obstacle I had feared came knocking at my door. By then, I had just finished building a new home with a solemn altar dedicated to the Triple Gem. It was the first day of the lunar month. Both my husband and I felt exhausted and chilled after a sleepless night. My husband had suffered from persistent hiccups throughout the night, unusual hiccups that sounded sorrowful and anguished, continuing without pause and keeping me awake. Despite this, I completed my daily Buddhist practice as usual, even more diligently than before. I went to the market to buy a final batch of fish, brought them home to perform a refuge ceremony and recite the Buddha's name for them, then released them back into nature. After returning home, I went upstairs to rest and asked my son to prepare dinner and tidy the house. At around 4 p.m., while my son was cooking in the kitchen, a friend called him outside. He left to chat and forgot to turn off the stove. While upstairs, I suddenly noticed thick smoke filling the air. A sense of dread immediately came over me. I rushed downstairs to the kitchen. To my horror, flames were roaring from a pan of oil, while the gas burner beneath it remained on full blast. Panicking, I wanted to call for help, but I could barely speak. Desperately, I grabbed water and threw it onto the burning oil. As soon as the water hit the oil, the flames exploded even more violently, scattering sparks and spreading throughout the kitchen. The raging fire filled me with terror, and my first instinct was to run away. But then I realized that if I left to seek help, it would already be too late. The gas cylinder could explode within minutes, endangering not only my family but also our neighbors. No, my conscience told me firmly. Gathering all my courage, I crouched down and reached beneath the stove to shut off the gas valve. Then, not knowing what else to do, I continued throwing water at the fire while keeping my thoughts focused on the Buddha. Only when the flames reached the range hood did my beloved son realize what had happened. He rushed back immediately. Together, we fought the fire, throwing water, extinguishing flames, and sweating profusely. After a long struggle, we finally managed to put it out. The result was a blackened kitchen filled with smoke. At around 7 p.m., my husband returned home and stood frozen at the sight before him. After hearing our story, he was deeply shaken. Had we been just 2 minutes later, he said, the entire neighborhood might have been reduced to ashes. The karmic debt of losing my home to fire had finally been resolved. Although there was damage, it was minimal, and we escaped unharmed. That day unfolded exactly as the Buddha had warned me in my dreams. Because I had been forewarned, I devoted myself to repentance and the creation of merit beforehand, transforming a great disaster into a minor one. I share this story in the hope that readers will develop faith in the Triple Gem and diligently follow the Buddha's teachings. Almost everyone carries karmic burdens to some degree. If it is not the karma of fire, it may be the karma of accidents, illness, or other misfortunes waiting for the right conditions to arise. However, by sincerely repenting, cultivating virtue, and tirelessly creating wholesome merit according to the Buddha's teachings, we can lessen and transform our karmic obstacles, allowing us to overcome difficulties and adversity more easily. In doing so, we not only find peace and well-being in this present life, but also create the conditions for countless blessings and wondrous opportunities in lives yet to come.